Tuesday, July 24th, 5 o'clock. Okay, we're gonna move right along to number 8, bylaws and policies. Develop class charge bylaw number 1060/2024, third reading. There's a recommendation of the District of Sycamoose Development Charge bylaw number 1060 be giving third reading this 24th day of July 2024. Could I get a mover? Councillor Evans, Councillor Bushel. Bianca, do you want to take that away?
Yeah, so this is the BCC bylaw for third reading. So since second reading, the ministry has reviewed our bylaw and the re-review for it and given some notes. So the changes coming from the ministry, one of them was removing a generator, which is already being put in place. And then they just wanted some clarification on our sanitary, just because we're bringing it back into our DCC bylaw. So we had some additional memos added to the package for that. So I just did that. And then on top of it, because we started this process last year, updating the balances to our DCC balances that we currently hold to January 1st, 2024, and then removing phase 1 of the Riverside Capel upgrade since it was complete. So from third reading, the balances in this bylaw have actually gone down a little bit in each of the different sections, but no changes to the actual projects or makeup or anything like that. And yeah, with that, if anyone has any questions.
Council, any questions? Councillor Bailey, Councillor McCabe,
So
Bushel.
DCC's so this was the percentage change that it went down per unit, right?
Yes,
Okay.
so per the different type.
Mhm.
So for a residential home, it went down just under $600. So this was first and second reading was 12,336, and now it is 11,741. And then I also did a comparison to like what our current bylaw currently reads. So now it's going up 79%.
And just,
Yep, go ahead.
last time we chatted, we were talking about Salmon Arm possibly updating theirs and others in the region. Has that kind of come to pass yet, or are they still looking at it? I'm just wondering where we are with this change and relative to everybody else around us.
I'm unsure. I don't think Salmon Arm has
Hasn't.
done theirs yet, not that I've seen. Yeah, so. Actually, yeah.
And I can assure you that the Salmon Arm ones will go up. They're budgeting a $55 million wastewater treatment plant upgrade. So I'm assuming those DCCs are gonna get really high.
Right. Right.
I think last time, I don't have it easily accessible, but I think we had some comparatives in our appendices for public consultation, which showed kind of where we were at before. I want to say current proposed rates. There
was a bar chart.
was a chart.
Here we are.
Oh, here we are.
It is, yeah.
So this is our proposed.
And that's Salmon Arm.
So we haven't really changed much in comparison of our comparison last time proposed. Still quite low compared to all these municipalities.
Great.
Thank you, through Chair. DCCs and affordable housing. I did read through that and I seen one section for an exemption, but just for the galley or people listening. How are we giving variances or reductions or on DCs for affordable housing?
Yeah, so we still have that separate bylaw, sister bylaw to this, where they would need a housing agreement in place, which all that would come through bylaw through council. So it separate bylaw from this bylaw, sister bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Bushel.
Yes, through the chair, thank you. Ian kind of answered my question, asked my question already, but yeah, Bianca, I went through it the other night, and it actually is, you did a lot of work to get to where we are today and with your team, and we really need to up it a bit to cover some of our infrastructure, especially our sewer treatment plant. So good work. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Bailey?
One more question. So in terms of the developments that we have in front of us, we've approved some of them. The ones that we have approved, they're gonna be under the old DCCs. This will be, once this gets enacted or approved, then anything forward will be, these rates will apply.
Yes, correct.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, and further to that, we still need the actual formal provincial approval, which who knows how long that will take, and then it'll come back for adoption. However, people do have the option, they can go back and we have to honor the old bylaw for a certain period of time as well, depending on where people are at in the process. There's that little nugget too.
Go ahead.
So then is it kind of safe to say we haven't gotten this formally approved by
Yeah, so third reading today.
Yeah.
Ministry approval, adoption.
the adoption? And then typically how long does a ministry approval would take?
It's ranged, but it's actually been quicker than we thought. But they turned it around decently quick. Yeah, so the next couple months.
So I'm just trying to think, so would it be realistic that we should be, I guess, when we take a look at this next budget cycle, that we would be including the new DCC schedule as anticipated revenue in our next
Yeah.
cycle? That would be realistic?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, Nicole, is there any developers express concern or any people wanting to get it in, get their developments in before the DCCs go up?
Through the chair, yeah, I've seen a few developments come in and they probably are aware of these changes coming. But no one has really expressed a concern or knew about it and then didn't like it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, it's called the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Excuse me. Community Works Fund Agreement. 2024-2034. Recommendation that council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to sign the 2024-2034 Community Works Fund Agreement with the Union of BC Municipalities under the administrative agreement on the Canadian Community Building Fund on behalf of the District of Sycamus. Could I get a mover? Councillor Beach, Councillor Bushel, Bianca, is that?
Yep, so this one's a pretty standard one. This is annual funding we get every year and it gets put into a reserve and we allocate it out at budget time. It's for infrastructure. So this is a new 10-year agreement with the Union of BC Municipalities. So all municipalities are taking this to their councils right now. So this funding, we usually get about in the past 165,000 a year is what we budgeted for 2024. We are going to be getting 178,000. So a little bit more.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Council, any questions? All in favor? That's an easy one. Okay, let's move along. Recommendation the council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to sign a crossing agreement with Canadian Pacific Kansas City Limited this 24th day of July 2024. Did I get a mover? Councillor McCabe, Councillor Beach, staff Kelly, or who's Daryl?
Yeah, through the chair, I can speak to that. So the bridge project, the big bridge, is the impetus for some of the utilities being moved. This agreement, similar agreements at Soul Square Building, Silver Sands Road existing now. Historically, we've brought in a 6-inch AC line from the back of the beach park, and that'll be decommissioned now that we're losing all that parking. So from Gill, we will be bringing, they usually replace like with like. We've asked them to upsize that for the looping. So this agreement represents just an agreement with CP that we could install and maintain our water line under there. So LTI would be doing the work. They're bearing the cost of all that. We are going to pay for the difference in pipe size. So we've budgeted for that amount for next year. It's just a small amount.
Okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor.
Through the chair, Daryl, is there anything else we can be putting in the hole while it's open? No, seriously, but like, is there any wires or Wi-Fi or like if they're paying for it, is there anything that we could like, I mean, honestly, even if we're not hooking it up, but that there's something we see coming and then it's nothing?
No. it's
Okay, I tried.
Dedicated water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Agreement between the District of Sycamoose and the province. Recommendation that the council authorize mayor and corporate officer to enter into agreement with the province for alternate public parking and impacts to the district infrastructure as a result of the construction of the Bruin Bridge, as represented this 24th day of July 2024. Can I get a mover? Councillor Bushel, Councillor McCabe, Kelly, take it away.
Yes, thank you through the chair. So also as a result of the Bruin Bridge construction, which is slated to begin in fall of 2024, there's certain district infrastructure as well as district parking that will be affected as a result of this construction. So this agreement is outlining, how we're going to be compensated or mitigated for these things that are being lost. So the main thing is the public parking. So I believe 19 public single car stalls as well as 36 truck and trailer stalls. So they've agreed to compensate us for up to 5 years for land, even though they are anticipating a 3-year build. They're rounding up to 5. We are temporarily losing the car parking. We're permanently losing the truck and trailer parking because that truck and trailer parking is actually on MOTI land right now. We've just been able to use it. And so there are, so what we are doing is embedded in this agreement, is in Schedule A is an RFP. So we will be putting out a tender saying, hey, we're looking for 1.5 to 3 acres of land that is relatively close to the boat launch. We want to lease it for 5 years from April 1st, 2025 to March 30th, 2030. So that's the term of the lease. Once we see what we get, then we can work out a lease that makes sense for the landowner and the District of Sycamoose. Once we've determined that, then we will get the money. Once we've executed the lease, we'll get the money up front. And if we decide we want to cancel the lease or do anything thereafter, that's fine. We still have the money, but the parking is still our problem to deal with. So and they've been very generous with their maximum in terms of where they've come up with estimates for their market values. They're thinking it should be more like, I think it's around 336,000 when they do their market appraisals, but they've bumped it up and give a nice buffer of up to 500, depending on what we get. Recognize we're also, there are some other district infrastructure that is going to have to be moved temporarily. So the Gill Avenue sign is going to be moved temporarily. Light fixtures in the parking area are going to be moved temporarily. The billboard on the highway that we share with Shuswap Tourism is going to be moved, and that will not be going back because the highway will be going there. So we'll have to work with Shuswap Tourism on a new spot for that. And what else is being moved on? One of the docks on Finlayson will be moved into our yard, and then it will be returned as well. And so this agreement just outlines those different things, and as well as it outlines those waterworks that we're talking about. It says that we will be doing the water lines and valves, and we'll have district staff present, and we'll make sure it's to your standards and all that kind of stuff. So that's the gist of the agreement. And also within the agreement, it says that we're going to put out the tender by July 30th. So our plan is to, in this agreement, the RFP will be putting out July 30th and it will close September 27th. But it gives us, and we can always extend it if we want. This land, it won't be till the spring because we're not going to lose the parking till late in the fall, almost winter time. So it really won't be an issue until April anyways. It gives us some time to prepare if some land needs some work to make it so it's proper for parking and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, the Sycamoose sign coming in from the west,
Yes.
Sycamoose, is that gonna have to be moved? Because if it is, I prefer that we move it than they move it. So, and we store it. Because it's just, we spent a lot of money on those signs. And my other question is the houseboat kiosk at Silver Sands Road there, is that gonna get in their way or?
Yeah, through the chair, that kiosk, I believe, will be used, they'll be staging there and using it.
Okay, and but just double check on our aluminum signs.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because we didn't mention those Sycamoose entrance signs. So, and I didn't notice them in the project drawings. I don't know if you've spoken with them about that, but just,
That specific sign kind of escapes me right now. I was kind of under the impression that wasn't gonna be moved, but maybe it will be, so.
Okay, well, let's just keep an eye on that. Yeah, okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Through the chair, have we looked at the JB Marina property? Just to get $500,000, spend that money on a lease and then that money's gone and we have no property at the end of it and we have no parking at the end of it. So it's good to be short-term lease from a local business or resident. At the end of the day, we have nothing. I know Jim has been trying to sell that property. I think it's a bit over $1 million. Gord, you might be able to give me a number on that. But we may be better off taking that money, this is a place maybe where we can get a loan and we actually buy something instead of renting it. And at the end of the day, having nothing left. That is a perfect piece of property for this town. Just something to think about. Gord, do you know what it's worth? Or we've got it listed at?
We did have it listed a little over $1 million, but I'm not sure.
So that's, if we get 500,000 out of them, we've got half of it paid for, and then we actually own something instead of spending $500,000 over 5 years, and at the end of it, we've got we still have no parking.
Thank you. Yeah, and Kelly, go ahead.
yeah, so they're not just gonna give us the money for the land. They'll give us up to a 5-year term. So we have to, so this is where depending on what's out and available, maybe we can have a lease with a buyout option, right? Or we can have a termination clause in there that we're able to cancel the lease and then we'll still have the money and then we can use it to buy something. So there will be some flexibility and we'll see what's out there. And yeah, we can have some looseness in there and maybe look at using some of those money to buy land or to buy it out at the end or work some kind of deal like that.
Yeah, because.
So it's not just
Fair.
going away.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
because in 5 years, we still have a parking problem. Even if we lease something, we still have a parking problem.
Anyone, Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, so just to figure out the goal here, so we're losing 19 car and 36 truck and trailer parking. So is the goal, whatever we kind of lease, is to replace that 1-to-1?
Correct, at minimum. Yeah, if we get more, bonus.
Okay, and I guess the other question that I had was, I've had several people from, SLED and ATV group actually talk about if this could be potentially multi-use rather than just truck and trailer for boats. We do have a bit of an issue in town when it comes to sled trucks and secure areas for them to park. If we could be looking something multifunctional where we could use it for truck and trailer in the summer, but then also, more secure sled parking for their trailers and their gear in the winter. I think it'd just be useful if we actually thought along those lines to try to get as big an impact out of this as we possibly can.
That's a good point, but you could probably multi-use it anyway. It could probably be used for sleds and trailers in the winter.
They brought it up.
That's not just, absolutely. Councillor Rich?
Through the chair. And again, to Ian's point, if we're eliminating parking and someone's paying a private person, if we buy a space, that money, that doesn't mean it has to be a free space going forward. Maybe it's free and then we go up a little bit. I know we're free now, so it's going to be a big, tourists aren't going to, and our locals aren't going to love having to pay for parking. But if we just said, we don't have anything left in 5 years, we've just leased something, now we're pulling that off the market and someone in town takes it over. If we buy something, then we could actually start bringing revenue forever into Sycamoose. I don't know very many places in the Shuswap and the Okanagan where you can leave a truck and trailer overnight for free. There just isn't any. So it's also a revenue for Sycamoose that goes right back into our taxpayers' pockets.
But we do have people that do that right now, so we need to be careful as to dipping our toe in their pond as well. So, go ahead, Councillor Rich.
through the chair, we're not taking their business because the people that are parking for free are parking for free. They're not taking away someone's business. We're adding to the choices because the people that are leaving their trailers are free that are not using those businesses. Probably, aren't going to, we're not taking from them. The people that are paying are still paying.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, I like the concept of Councillor Rich of buying something, whether it's a lease with the purchase at the end of the lease or, I mean, I don't think MOTI is probably set. They give us a cap of 500,000. I mean, we could change their parameters, I'm sure, and use that 500,000 to buy something, put something towards it. Because, at the end of 5 years, then we have nothing and the lease costs go up and then we'll have to recover those costs because we'll have to pay more, and to recover that, we'll have to charge more. We're a resort town. We want people to come into town and enjoy our town and make it easy for them to put their boat in the water, park their truck and trailer over and so, but I've always thought we should buy instead of lease myself also.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I agree with the idea of a lease to purchase as well. Yeah, over a five-year deal. It's good for the taxpayers, I think. Just my thought anyways.
Anyone else? Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, just, so there's an agreement here. Is this like a draft agreement or is it kind of what are you asking?
It's not a draft agreement.
Okay.
It's here for us.
Here.
Yeah,
And so
ready
I
for
guess,
signature.
so I guess my question then is, since we're talking about lease versus buy, I'm sorry, I haven't gone through absolutely every sentence in here. Is it just limited to lease or?
Yes, it is. They're not just gonna give us money to buy land. However, they've made it so we get the money up front. And so if we have, let's say, a lease that we want to cancel, we'll still have the money,
Okay.
right? But the fair market value of a 5-year lease is what they're willing to give us. Right? So then they'll give us that money upfront in a lump sum payment. And if we cancel that lease and choose to do something else with the money, then that's on us to do.
Okay, but
Yeah.
to just make this, I guess, simple for our decisions, is that we have to enter into a lease agreement with them in order to secure those funds.
Correct. And they will give us the lump sum payment within 30 days of the execution of that lease. And then depending on that lease or who we're negotiating with, that we can make that lease however we want it to look. And maybe there's a buyout option or maybe a termination clause in there, depending on, our discussions with the individuals.
And we have different options at the end of that.
Correct. There will be flexibility in there. We didn't embed the lease agreement within this agreement because we wanted that flexibility to see what we would be getting.
Right.
Councillor Bushel, then Councillor Rich.
No, I'm okay. I'm fine, thank you.
Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, just to clarify, Kelly, so if we choose to go into this lease agreement today, you're telling us that there's a lot of flexibility in it and we can do what we want with the money at the end of the day? Are we better off waiting 2 weeks and going back to them and saying, hey, we're thinking about buying, what do you guys think about this? Because I just don't want to get into a lease agreement when we haven't really looked at other options at buying. Like, I just go $500,000 and if the property is $1 million or $1.2 million and we could own something, or we lease something and then at end of 5 years, we've got no money left. And that's very simple. And I understand that simple thinking, but should we be going back and saying, hey, we want to lease to own? Like, are they giving us that flexibility or?
Yeah, so they've made it clear they're not just gonna give us money to buy land. However, they'll give us the money to compensate us for a 5-year lease term. So whether that lease is lease to own, or whether we have a lease and it has a very quick termination clause, like it has a termination clause where we can exit that lease knowing that we want to actually use the money later to buy it, but they're going to fund us for a 5-year lease. So there will be that lease we haven't drafted. That lease isn't in front of us yet, right? So that's why it's not part of this. So depending on who comes forward with land, what the landowner's desires are, what our desires are, then we can figure out what that lease looks like. And then from there, make our decisions moving forward. But I did ask for that land option to buy in there and they're not okay with just saying you, or you can use that money to buy land.
Okay.
Okay. Counselor Evans?
So yeah, just clarify, we are doing this tonight to get the money so we can find a place to lease or buy. But we're getting this to lease, and if it's a 2-week lease, we still get the money.
Well, the lease needs to be
Yeah.
for 5 years.
Yeah, okay.
But if we decide we want to terminate
Terminate
that
it.
lease, we still
Yeah.
will get the money and then it's our responsibility to
Yeah.
figure out what that parking
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Correct. And the payment will be a lump sum payment.
Yeah. Thanks.
Counselor Bailey, Counselor McCabe?
I mean, I like your idea, Kelly. I think this is going to be how we structured this deal and structure the RFP. And then I think really what the RFP should be saying is that we're interested in a lease to buy kind of option. I mean, that could still be a 5-year where at the end of it, this is the residual value, we buy it out. It's almost similar to a car lease thing. I mean, if we can find somebody who actually wants to put up the land that's a suitable. But I think the RFP is where we would structure that sort of language. Is that correct? Am I on the right?
Well,
Here.
we do have the lease here and we say that the lease term will be run for 5 years from the start, blah, blah, can be extended. So we don't really talk about throwing in something about owning the land or a lease to buy, but I mean, we can throw that in there too. It's very loose still.
Yeah, through the chair, there is language embedded in the RFP document. So when it goes out and they're looking at it, there's flexibility for us in that we say that we're gonna basically have a right of refusal. So we can enter into this lease, and if we choose to do something, for the next year, there's no obligation is how we've structured this. So it gives us that flexibility to really do what's best for us, right? So we'll look at that, we'll take it all in. We also mentioned in the RFP that we may call in proponents and get some more detail and try to hammer out the best deal, basically. So that language is in there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna mention the same thing Councillor Bailey did is, we might have to tweak that RP just a bit to make sure there's some language in there with the intent of, lease to purchase.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Development variance permit application number 24-292-DBP 425 Main Street. There's a recommendation that council authorize the District of Sicamous to issue development variance permit number 24292 DBP for the property legally described as Lot C, District Lot 452, Kamloops Division, Yale District Plan, EP 130-290-425 Main Street, vary section 3.9.3 B1. The minimum width of a landscape buffer area for the development abuts a residential zone from required 3 meters to proposed ranging from 0 meter to 0.85 meter, depending on the prospective property lines as shown in section Schedule B. Yeah, it's just, can we just want to start with that one, or do you want me to?
Yeah,
Just gonna move her. Counselor Evans, Counselor Bailey. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, through the chair. Yeah, there's actually 3 variances that we're looking at tonight. In the next screen. Those are the 3 there, but I'll walk through them because that's a lot of words. Okay, so we're looking at 425 Main Street again. It's located, I guess, highlighted in yellow. It's currently designated town center in the OCP, and we've recently rezoned it to C1 Town Center Commercial. And then as a reminder, we just had the open house for this, but it's a 5-story mixed-use building. We've got 2 garage or storage spaces in the back there, so that proposal hasn't changed. And so for this variance, I guess 2 weeks ago, we already had a variance for 425 Main Street. And then it was a little bit too late to cancel that one, and we went through with it. So those ones still remain. These are in addition to and change a couple of things that we've already approved. And I'll walk through those because in some respect, they're lesser variances than we've already approved. So this is the first one, and I'll walk through these on a different slide, but so what we're looking at here, so such tiny writing, the width of a landscape buffer area to be relaxed from the required 3 meters to 0 meters. And so that's shown on the top right where the arrows are, in between the arrows, yes. And then the other variance for landscape buffer is to be relaxed from the required 3 meters to 0.85 meters, and it's only between those two arrows there. And so I guess the developer wasn't able to come tonight, but the rationale is, so they had to move the building back, like the main building, slightly to accommodate an adequate clearance to the high voltage lines on Main Street. And that's required by WorkSafe BC. And so in doing that, within half of the development all shifts a bit with the building, including some of the parking, and then that one garage also shifts down. Well, maybe it doesn't shift down, but what they have is a door on the south side of garage 1, and it doesn't make sense to have landscaping there because they need to get in and out of the door. So that area from 3 meters to 0.85 meters is a little walkway, so it's cleared and they can get in and out. And so the other variance is the building massing and setback. So they had to change the building roof pitch. It's been reduced to comply with fire protection standards because the fire flow from the existing hydrants was inadequate. And so when they did that, that changed that 65-degree building massing line. And so in this slide, we're looking at the east property line. And so the relaxation of the setback is from, well, what's required is 9 meters, and we're going to 3.62 meters. And then in the next slide, also to do with massing, this is the Main Street side. And so the relaxation is from the required 6.5 meters to 3 meters. And so I just want to talk about what that means with this development variance permit and the previous one, and that's in the next slide. Okay, so for landscape buffers, there's no change to the front landscape buffer area variance. So we've already approved 3 meters to 2.05 meters. That remains. And then there's no change to the western landscape buffer area. That is also an existing variance. And so where we have a change is the southern property line where that garage 1 moves. And so we previously approved 3 meters to 1.5 meters for the landscape buffer. And now with that walkway that's there, they're looking for, I guess if you looked at the original, it would have been 3 meters to 0.85 meters. We've already approved 1.5 meters. So today it's almost like we're doing 1.5 meters to 0.85 meters for that one small section. And then no change to the southeast property line. That's an existing variance. And then there was, sorry, and small change. It's hard to describe where these lines are, but the map shows the arrows. The southeast property line. So we've already approved 3 meters to 1.5 meters, but now they're requesting 3 meters to 0 meters. And that is the with the building shifting back and the parking shifting back. They're requesting the 0 meter setback because the parking is gonna pretty much abut the property line. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but not enough for a landscape buffer. So that's the landscaping piece. And then for the building massing, okay, so we've already approved the 8.27 meters to 3.61 meters. And then with the building moving and I guess the roof change, we're looking at 9 meters as the requirement. And so when you do the math, that works out 3.62 meters. So it's pretty much the same variance, but just for clarity, we were gonna have the numbers show in the more recent development variance permit what that looked like. And then the other one for 6.96 meters to 1.09 meters, that's the existing variance. But with the change, I guess the setback for the massing turns into 6.5 meters. It's actually lesser. And so the new variance would be 3 meters. And so that's where the lesser variance is coming in. And so we've already approved some greater variances, but I think just for clarity, we're going to register, if this is approved, this development variance permit and the previous one, both on title. And then they've already submitted their building permit based on these variances. And if that doesn't happen tonight, then we can let them know. So those are the three.
Okay, thanks, Nicole.
Okay.
Are we voting?
Nicole, are we good?
Mhm. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Actually, it looks like you just, one more thing. Okay, okay, go ahead, Counselor Bailey.
I was just gonna ask about the one on the southeast corner from 1.5 to 0. Could you just go over that one again? What was the rationale behind that? Was that the walkway for the seniors that we wanted to put there, the right of way? Why did that go from 1.5 to 0?
If you go forward a bit.
Yeah, I just want to see which one we're talking
Or
about.
was that because we had to push the whole building
I
back?
think it's the landscape buffer piece,
Yeah,
the width of the landscape buffer.
yeah. Oh, right back there where
Yes.
oh, okay, so that abuts where the new senior housing will be.
Yeah,
So do we know if there's gonna be any landscape buffer, or was that gonna be their parking lot anyways? I'm just trying to get a visual of the whole kind of 30,000 picture view here.
yeah, through the chair. So the other property does have a landscape buffer. And yes, there is parking along that line as well. So we did have, I think, I wish we did have the map, a couple little extra spaces where there could be a potential connection between the two developments. That's not proposed, but we had it in there just in case, like for emergency response. So yes, the one to the south has a landscape buffer, and that's a parking area there. The building is, a little bit more to the east.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I was getting at was it's not gonna be a continuous, I guess it's gonna be almost a continuous piece of asphalt, right? Around that whole area, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, their parking was it abutting the parking of the 425 development too, correct? I'm trying to remember this, but
We have a nice visual from. the
Okay.
house.
yeah. That was the only thing, like with the 1.5 meter landscape buffer, you can at least put some shrubs or something in there, but if we're gonna have asphalt connecting right up to asphalt, well, maybe there's no way to avoid it, but I think it would be nice if we could.
Are you looking for a picture, Kelly? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, I'm looking for the picture, the aerial view that we had at the open house, which showed both concepts
Mhm.
on there. Yes, June?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Chair, technically speaking, I believe there is a landscape buffer on that particular property line of 8 and 7. And I believe there's a landscape buffer from 316 on the road side. So it's not going to be a paved portion of a parking stall to the paved portion of the parking. There will be very thin stretch of landscape buffer. And then in respect to Councilor Davis' comment, like why the rationale was there, was because of when we take a look at the
Email it to yourself.
let me go to the one slide up. The one that shows the entire photo. Yeah, so that particular drawing, I believe, was previously used drawing for the previous DVP. And then the difference between that drawing and the one drawing that was submitted for this current DVP was that the problem they needed to get an additional space to reposition the main building to the southward a little bit. So that was the only method for them to acquire the additional spaces to the building southward without deleting the spatial area or altering the program. So the main difference between the previous DVP drawing and this DVP drawing is that there was a thin stretch of the landscape buffer between 4-5 parking lot. The one behind right behind the building and the one goes to the 316. That landscape buffer also.
Okay.
Okay,
So I guess it's just, they just need this space to make this whole project kind of work, what it kind of comes down to. Okay.
Councillor Evans?
Thanks. I was just gonna mention that there's still gonna be a walkway.
Anyone else? No, we're good. Okay, well, we'll vote on the first one and then I'll read the next two. So all in favor of, okay, that's carried. Thanks. There's a recommendation that council authorize the district of Sycamore to issue development variance permit number 24-292 DVP for the property legally described as Lot C District Lot 452 Kamloops Division, Yale District Plan EPP 130-290-425 Main Street to vary section 3.12.7 F and 3.12.7 G, two setbacks and building massing from required 9.0 meters to proposed 3.62 meters as shown in Schedule C. Could I get a mover? Councillor Beach, Councillor Bushel, any more discussion on that one? Call the question. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to highlight this, that I know we already passed this, but I think anything we can do, we haven't passed, or have we? The senior center.
Yeah.
Plans, oh, we have, okay. I mean, it'd just be nice that, because we are kind of looking at a lot of asphalt area, that whatever we can do to enhance kind of some green space around that area is just, I think it'd just be nice, and hopefully the developers, both of them could work together and doing whatever they can. Sorry.
That's okay. I think I've got a mover and a seconder on this one. I'll call the question. All in favor? Thanks. Okay, the last one is recommendation that council authorize the district of Sycamore to issue development variance permit 24-292 DVP for the property legally described as Lot C District Lot 452 Kamloops Division, Yale District Plan EPP 130-290-425 Main Street to vary section 3.12.7 F setbacks and building massing from required 6.5 meters to proposed 3 meters as shown in Schedule D. Could I get a mover? Councillor McCabe. Councillor Evans, any more discussion on this? Okay, call the question, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, there's some correspondence here. Eagle Valley Snowmobile Club requests a letter for support. Councillor Bailey, you want to?
Yeah, I was speaking to Steve, the executive director of Sled Sick Moose, and they have another application in before, I guess it would be the ministry. And we've given them a letter of support previously, but that was for another application. And he just brought up to me whether council would be supportive to send in another for their section 57. He felt that those letters of support have made a difference. We've done it in the past. So this was just something I was bringing forward to council again for their thoughts about sending another letter of support, or having staff work with Steve from Sled Sycamore to give them another letter of support to, for their application.
Thanks. Which piece is this?
So it's for their section 57 application. I wish I had a copy of it in front of me, but I think Steve had talked, probably Gord will know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, over the last 2 years, they've been logging on Queest,
Mhm.
doing a lot of logging on the front side, which is a normal access where we always access Queest. But so we've been using the backside, which is out at the in Malacor. And they've allowed us to do it, but we're actually gonna make it not permanent, so we'll be able to access both. So it's just that actually while they're logging, we can't snowmobile on Queest, it shuts the hill down. So it gives them another access, and it's called the back way. It's the back way in. So it'll be an actual legal rec sites and trail application.
So you're asking for support for the backside entrance of Queest?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion for
Letter of support.
letter of support?
Through the chair, so is this for Shishwap backcountry riders?
No,
Is it?
that's quads. This is for Sled Sycamore.
Oh, okay,
There's two different groups.
okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, just a motion that for staff to be directed to write a letter of support regarding their section 57
I'll
application.
make that motion.
Okay. Councillor Rich will second that. Any more discussion on that? Okay, that's carried. We'll do.
No. Oh, I guess it must be
It's your alerts.
emergency alert,
Just be smoke.
What is it?
golden.
Sorry?
It's alertable. So we're trying to figure out if it's
Electoral Area A evacuation order.
A, golden,
That's by Revelstoke. Isn't it the?
Yes,
It's not ours, yeah.
Shelter Bay up in there.
the drag.
Okay. All right, so correspondence for information has everyone read the correspondence? Is there anything that you want to speak to? Counselor Evans?
Yeah, I read Laura's letter about, and she makes a good point that there are towns where the towns and the cities do provide some free electric charging as a draw for tourism. I was really torn. I'm just mentioning this and not asking us to do something about it tonight, but I was quite torn on the decision to make our electric charging just for our vehicles. I know that we do have electric vehicles because there is something to be said for what she mentioned about how some cities do, when people are mapping out that they'll stop and charge and look around at businesses. The thing is that when we do have free charging, that some people do take advantage of it, but it is a draw for tourism. So I'm just mentioning she's got some good points about in her letter, free electric charging.
Okay, anyone else want to comment on that? Okay, anything else on the correspondence? Okay. Committee and Regional District reports. Does anyone want to comment on the Malakoff-Sycamoose interagency minutes?
I think I did the last time.
Thank you.
They're late.
Okay, and that's it from us. Okay, we got time for questions from the gallery. Anyone in the gallery have any questions? Online, any questions? Nothing? Nothing? Well, thank you everyone for being here. We're gonna do a recommendation at the regular council meeting for July 24th, 2024 be adjourned at 5:47. Can I get a mover? Counselor Rich, Counselor Bushel, all in favor? And we're done.
Kelly, thank you. You're done.